Bruce, I'm newer in this. I've actually spoken or did a Zoom with you.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was thinking about is if, like, I'll tell people I work with real lawyers and closely with the courts or attorneys. And if somebody says to me, well, what do you do with the attorney? How do you work side by side with the attorney? I really don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah. Okay. So first off, let me make a small adjustment to what you're saying in the beginning. So you go ahead and tell me, repeat basically what you said in the beginning, working with attorneys and courts. What was that again?
Right. So I work closely with the courts, not for the courts, and I also work with attorneys. If you have one, that's great. I can work with them. If you don't, I can refer you to three different attorneys that I work with,
Okay,
kind of
great.
thing.
Cool. So I want probably not a huge adjustment for you, but for many people, one of our biggest fears, before I answer Christy's question, one of our biggest fears is the how'd you get my number and interruption. How'd you get my number is a total interruption. It's not necessarily an objection, but it's definitely a throw you off your game interruption that I think the majority of us have a fear of hearing when we make a cold call. So the way Christy went into that is a great way to avoid that question altogether. Hey, I'm giving you a call because I work really closely with the Wake County. I'm in Wake County, the Wake County court system. I do not work for the court system, but I essentially reach out to everyone who's applied for probate. So that pretty much got the how do I get your number out of the way before they vocalized the objection, and that's what Christy just did. Um, so she then brought up the question that they might ask, how do you work with attorneys? Great answer is so essentially attorneys take care of typically the legal and paperwork side of your probate process. If you have an attorney, that's probably what they're doing. That leaves a lot of things around the asset maintenance, security and distribution to you. And what that kind of means is, like if there's a house, you've got to make sure that it's secure. Nobody can break in. You don't have squatters. The mortgage is maintained. An attorney's not going to pay your mortgage, so you've got to do that. You've got to potentially sell the property if it needs to be sold. I don't know if it needs to be sold, but potentially sell it. If there's cars, you're dealing with the assets themselves while the attorney's doing the legal side. So what I do is I step in and I help organize and take care of those assets that the attorney's not directly involved with the management of. So if an example is if you have a house that needs a pressure washer, grass cutter, the gutters need cleaned, I can organize and coordinate those services. If you need to sell a house, being a real estate agent, I can help with that. If you have a car and you've got to get rid of it, I've got car buyers. So I just want you to use me for anything like that that maybe you're not sure how to do or just don't have time to handle it. Now, I want everyone to hear what I would do with that explanation is I would go record that for myself and I would play it back. So I would go on to something like Audacity. Most of us have Audacity built into our Mac computers. So I would go on Audacity or I would go to a recording system like Descript or I'd just do it on Zoom and I'd record my answer and I'd look at how long it took and I'd listen to where I might have stumbled or where I wasn't clear. And I'd think critically about it and I'd say, how can I clean that up and make it a little bit more clear and understandable and concise? I can tell you guys just because I think critically about myself and my own approach. I can tell you guys that my explanation to Christy seemed really long to me, but it's my first time through it. I've got a recording. I go back, I listen to it, and I say, okay, how can I shorten this up and explain it in a more succinct fashion? And if you can look at your own business and the way that you explain things like that critically and record yourself, you'll be able to explain things almost flawlessly in no time. But you got to record yourself. You got to be able to listen to your voice. You've got to be able to ask yourself, where do I want to clean this up? Where do I want to shorten it? Where do I need to add some clarity? Now, Christy, how is that explanation? Did that help? You think that's semi-understandable?
Yes, tremendously. Thank you.
Okay.
That did. Yeah. I just wasn't sure of the difference. So perfect.